Channel welcomes you to the Magic Mile, Loudon, New Hampshire, where today it's NASCAR Busch Series qualifying. A 48-car field lines the front straightaway here at Loudon. Ron Hornaday won practice over Martin Truex Jr., who's had a lot of success on this track. Jamie McMurray, Bobby Hamilton, Kevin Harvick, and Mike Bliss. They'll be among those fighting for the pole. 43 cars make tomorrow's race. 5 go home. There are showers in the distance off to the west, making their way over the Berkshires and headed toward Loudon. So we're going to be in a little bit of a hurry-up mode to get through the afternoon. Hi, everybody. Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, and Jeff Hammond. Getting lobster last night?
No, sir.
We did. MRO had it, and boy, it was good. Jeff joins us this morning. How's the traffic in Boston?
Oh, it's heavy, you know, with the convention coming into town,
man.
and things are kind of interesting there, just like they are here at the Magic Mile.
Well, traffic's going to be interesting here, too. They've got a packed day with Busch qualifying, Cup qualifying, and then the modified race that'll air Saturday night on Speed. So we hear cars in the background. Let's get right to it. Greg Biffle's the first car on the clock. Charter Communications Ford. He was 8th in practice.
He pushes way up, Mike, right in the middle of 1 and 2. That's going to really hurt him as far as making a good lap here. Car didn't stick at all.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a hit-your-mark, line-sensitive racetrack. There's a fine line between underdriving the entrance to the corner or overdriving the entrance to the corner.
Oh, he's in the wall.
He's all the way up against the wall in 3 and 4. But let me tell you what I think this is a product of, guys. In the Busch Series, these guys have to qualify on sticker, brand-new tires. A lot of these fast laps that were cut in practice were on tires that had been run, had heat in them. And these tires have no heat in them. And I think what you're seeing right there, the damage to Greg Biffle's car, very well could be a product of that.
Well, that's a surprise. First car on the green is in the fence, and it's one of the stars of the series, Greg Biffle.
And what's amazing, guys, you see the car go off in the corner, and it literally just takes off and keeps going. And Greg can't really do anything with it. But what's surprising is he did it in 1 and 2, Larry, and I thought he would have learned that, hey, I've got to ease in this corner and let these tires come around.
And when I look at the way the front tires, it wasn't like it was loose or pushing. It was just sliding.
He had no grip, just like you're on ice, folks. When you rewatch it, he never turned the wheel because he knew he was in trouble. Never touched the brakes either, hoping the car would hook up.
Here's more bad news. Greg Biffle does not have a provisional available, even though he is 6th in points and a past champion. He's in the top 35 in Nextel Cup standings, so I don't believe then he's even eligible for the Champions Provisional. We'll have to check on that.
And this guy was really coming in the Busch Series points. He was 3rd before Chicago, fell back to 6th after the race in Chicago, but this guy was certainly getting in the championship mode.
You know, and it was one of the things I wanted to talk about was the fact that, you know, what kind of effect Ron Hornaday and a Greg Biffle could have on our two guys that are leading the points right now as far as Martin Truex. Again, let's take a look at what happened to Greg. The car just did not want to hook up at all, Mike.
All right, we will check on Biffle's provisional status and update you when we come back. Welcome back to Busch Pole qualifying for the NASCAR Busch Series. First car, Greg Biffle went in the fence. He is eligible for the Champions Provisional. Your standing in Nextel Cup does not affect that. Casey Kane, the Great Clips Dodge, will be our second qualifier.
Well, let's watch Casey and see how he handles turn 1 and 2 after hearing what happened to Greg Biffle. His car slides up almost the same way, Larry.
Yeah, and then it's not because, you know, a lot of times we'll have this if the racetrack sat for a period of time since the last practice. But Nextel Cup practice just ended about 10 minutes ago, so it's not like it has sat there.
He went way up the track, had to make a big steering correction. It's as if the track looks like somebody dumped oil.
I just really believe, though, guys, that this is a typical Loudon, New Hampshire situation. In Cup, all those guys were putting time on their qualifying tires. They were scuffing them. The Busch Series rule is you have to qualify on new tires, and I think that's one reason when these cars do hook up, you'll probably see the second lap much quicker than the first lap.
First lap for Kane, 29.94. That is 0.8 of a second off the track record.
And Larry, if you remember back here at New Hampshire a few years ago, we experienced about the same thing during a qualifying session. The way the tires were compared to the asphalt, it didn't hook up quite that well, and then Casey picked up 0.2 of a second on his second lap right now and is definitely on the pole for the moment.
That's still about 0.3 off what he ran in practice, though, earlier.
Casey was down at Thompson, Connecticut Wednesday night, a match race against track champ Ted Christopher, and some of the other stars of the Sunoco Modifieds down there. He gave a good account of himself. They had a caution with 5 laps to go, inverted the field. He started on pole and held everybody off to win it.
He did?
Yep.
Oh, that doesn't really surprise me. Look what Kyle Busch is doing, Larry.
He's scuffing his tires right there. In other words, he's not really worried about getting up to speed this first lap because he knows probably his quickest lap is going to come on the second lap. So that's the reason he's trying to scuff these tires in.
And Larry, the one thing we want to point out, a lot of times, not just heating up the right side, but getting the left sides to work is very important, especially on a flat racetrack like here at Loudon.
The Lowe's Chevy comes in here second in the standings, 52 points back.
And he's pulling double duty here this weekend. He's going to be attempting to qualify for the Nextel Cup race. He actually came up here and tested his Nextel Cup car a couple of weeks ago.
Got really, really hard on the brake going into 1, Jeff, and that kept him from sliding way up.
Right, he's looked the best so far through 1 and 2, but the car still was loose when he got back into the gas, trying to exit the corner. So let's see how he does that in 3 and 4.
His qualifying has been phenomenal this year. He's qualified in the top 10, 12 of 19 races. In the past 10 races this year, his average start is 4th.
Now see that car dip and then turn in, trying to set that right front, get a little grip in it as the car goes into the corner. Washes up a little there, but not bad.
These straightaways are very long, Mike, and you use a tremendous amount of brake getting in these corners. That's when you see the car really dive down on the nose.
Well, he's on the pole for the moment right now. First lap was quicker than Casey Kane, but I believe as we go along, guys, we're going to see a lot more guys picking up, learning from these first few cars going out.
Second lap for Kyle Busch mirrors the first, so he is the quickest of 3 who have attempted. Greg Biffle, by the way, will be the 43rd starter. Since he is the most recent Busch Series champion entered, he will pick up the champion's provisional.
Well, that's good news.
Justin Labonte has had a little time to celebrate a phenomenal finish as Mike Wallace runs out of gas with 1 to go. Justin all but steals the glass slipper off Mike Wallace's foot from Daytona and drives it to victory lane.
This was the neatest thing about this whole race was the fact that not only this young man winning it, but being able to do exactly what his daddy did at Darlington. That was just exciting, at least for me.
You know, surprisingly, we had Terry, his dad, on our trackside show that Friday night while these guys were out there running final practice prepared for Chicago. And Terry said, I'm going to tell you what, I believe Justin has a car that can win this race.
Guys, I don't know what happened. He dove down into turn 1 and I immediately pulled it right down on the apron of the racetrack. So I don't know what kind of problems he has.
He's just idling around.
Yeah,
under power.
Something don't sound right, though.
Something didn't work right going into turn 1. So Justin Labonte is going to coast around and come back. Now, he was on the green, so this will count as his attempt. Now, let's go back 1 week when the Cup and the Busch Series had an off week. Dale Earnhardt Jr. went road racing in Sonoma for the Chevrolet Corvette team, crashed, and then the car erupted into flames from the left rear. Here's another look at it. Cold tires, green racetrack.
See all the fuel right there.
And fuel spewing because of, in large part, the location of the filler neck and the filler tube apparently came through the wheel well down to where the cell was located. It was a brand new fuel cell. That was not an issue. And Junior climbed from the car under his own power and then was held overnight for observation of mild second-degree burns and release. Well, certainly one man's bad fortune creates an opportunity for someone else. Bob Dillner.
And Mike, that guy is Martin Truex Jr., who is your Busch Series points leader. And Martin just climbed out of the Budweiser number 8, second quick in Cup practice and also second quick in the Busch Series. You're a busy guy here.
Yeah, this is something different. I got to thank them guys for giving me that opportunity to, to fill in for Dale Jr. We're all hoping he gets better real quick. We want him to be 100% and win that championship. Overall, great day for us. Both cars, KFC cars, running real good, and hopefully we get a good qualifying effort. And Cup car is kind of a new experience, and I said there was some people looking at me with like I had 3 heads wearing a Budweiser uniform, but it's been pretty cool so far.
Of course, you qualified very well here in the past. You've won a couple races in the Busch North Series. You got a shot at the pole here in this Busch Series car today?
Well, I think we do. You know, we were second in practice, and we made some adjustments on the car. You know, I wasn't real happy with the way it drove, and Bono is going to tune it up like he normally does, and hopefully we guessed right on the track. The track's changed a lot since we practiced the Busch car, so we'll just have to see what happens. We'll hang it out and see what we got.
Guys, he says he wasn't too happy, yet he was second quick in practice.
Oh, he'll be happy. He's the home track hero here. He's had a lot of success here. As Jason Leffler is 3rd quickest on his first lap of the 29.75. And yes, you heard right. The Dale Earnhardt Jr. will take the weekend off. And I think we are seeing the first as Leffler goes to the pole. 29.53. Good lap for Jason. We'll finish the story in a minute after we go to Dave Burns.
Well, you mentioned that there was a guy who was quicker in practice this morning than Martin Truex. That was Ron Hornaday. It's been 74 races since he's won a pole, but Ron, only 2 races since you won. Is that giving you a spark this weekend already?
Yeah, we're usually not really worried about qualifying, but Busch and the guys in the safety go-go car gave me a good car, same one we won with Rocky with, so about basically the same shock, same springs. They tuned on a little bit, learned some more, so we got a good race car. Hopefully we got a shot at it.
And Milwaukee was where he won that race 2 races ago, guys.
Hornaday fastest in practice. Saying, Jeff and Larry, we're seeing the first concrete benefit of the new point standing system, because at the end of 26 races in Cup, they're going to true up the top 10 and put them 5 points apart. For Dale Jr. to miss a race at this point in the season is not as critical as it would have been last year.
I did the math earlier in the week, Mike. He has a 2-race cushion on the 11th place car. In other words, he could completely sit home for 2 races and still he would not fall out of the top 10. So I think that's a good move on their part. If he's not comfortable, go ahead, let him start the car, get the points, let Martin Truex just try to get in it and get a solid finish.
The guys look at it like this also. If you're going to have a problem, what better place to come to than Loudon, New Hampshire, and your backup driver being Martin Truex? I mean, that's almost a trade-off. I mean, if I had to be that crew chief and I knew I had to lose my A driver, that cat sitting over in the corner right there can get the job done up here.
The Marines scored Bobby Hamilton Jr. 29.55. That is the best first lap we've seen. See if he can put it on pole with lap 2. No, actually, he picks up 1/1000th. So Hamilton Jr. is second to Jason Leffler. 6 cars have had their shot at the clocks. Ashton Lewis Jr. picking up a local sponsorship from Brick Mill Marketing on his Chevy, and he'll be 5th fastest, 29.77. Monday nights on Speed, it's 5th Gear Monday, and this Monday night they'll test an armor-plated car, get tips on how to drive like a spy, and catch the latest road tests of the most exotic European supercars. That and a whole lot more on 5th Gear Monday, 9 p.m.
Well, Larry Mack probably knows something about armored cars. I mean, he has to have one of those each week. Come take all that money he makes.
Oh, yeah. Once again, you have me mixed up with DW.
I'm
keep
sorry.
doing that on a weekly basis.
I'm sorry.
Wait till I tell you what the state of New Hampshire did this week. Joe Nemechek in the Cellular One Chevy. Front row Joe.
Car got a little loose.
As soon as he went to pick the throttle up. And that's the thing. You want to make sure that car, of course, your job is to get in the throttle as soon as you can. But if you have to back out of the throttle, it kills the next straightaway that you're coming to. Joe got some great news this past week. He extended his contract with his Nextel Cup ride, the MB2 team, the 01 Army team, through the end of 2005.
Well, that's got to be a positive for him. He's 3rd quickest on his first lap. But, Larry, he has had some really strong runs in that 01 car, and he deserved to have an extension. He had some bad luck, but he's also had strong runs when they've had going the right way.
Yeah, strong runs just not reflected
exactly
in the results. He's fared better in the Busch car. Qualified 3rd at Chicago, but lost a motor. Qualified the top 10 his last 4 Busch Series races. This looks like it'll be 5 in a row. And he falls off 6/1000.
He really went up the racetrack in 3 and 4 on his 2nd lap.
He'll make his 225th Busch start tomorrow. Bob Dillner.
Jason Leffler is fastest so far, but is that going to hold up? Probably not, you say?
I don't think so. I mean, if the sun comes down, the track slows down, yeah, maybe. But, you know, the Haas automation, Monte Carlo is really good, and it just had to tippy toe around the racetrack. Felt like kind of like running an old dirt track that was slicked over. But you know, I wish they let us scuff our tires. It would have helped. But it's you know, that played a part in our time. But it's something everybody has to deal with. So it was a good lap for us, and I'm real happy to be driving the car. It's really good in race trim.
Hey guys, tippy toe. Would that mean he's got that egg underneath that accelerator?
No.
It would mean you're not exactly sure what that race car is going to do.
No, that means you're kind of like up on pins and needles waiting for it to jump out from under you or slide up in the wall. You don't know which way it's going to go then.
You know, when we interviewed, though, Martin Truex, he made an awfully good point. These guys practiced fairly early this morning from like 9 to 11 a.m. So the racetrack, even though it's overcast, it has definitely heated up and changed in track temperature and conditions, especially with the 2-hour cut practice that was on it.
Derek Cope, the Advil Liquid Gels, number 49. When Derek won the Daytona 500 in 1990, it was for a New Hampshire car owner, Bob Whitcomb.
That's right. You see Bob at the racetrack every now and then. He still shows up. It's always good to see him. He's a big-time supporter.
All right, so if you come up from western New England, you come up Interstate 495 to US 3, which is 3 lanes in New Hampshire, and now they're widening it in Mass, which creates a big bottleneck. But when they widened it in New Hampshire, they put up all new signs. And about the 3rd big sign in is for exit 3, DW Highway. Capital D, capital W.
And you think armored cars for me?
There's going to be no convincing our broadcast booth buddy that that's the Daniel Webster Highway, is there?
Probably not.
I believe it. But you're right.
Yeah.
He'll never believe it.
Derek's going to end up really the slowest of cars that has actually completed their qualifying run at a 30.05, which is about what he ran in practice.
Bob?
Kyle Busch, 2nd in points, 4th so far during this qualifying run. I thought you'd do better than that. What's the scoop?
So did we. It got real loose. I don't know why. I guess the sun trying to peek out here and getting a little bit warmer from this morning. It changed the track a little bit for us, so we were pretty loose and just couldn't really hang on to get a good lap.
Now you got to sit here, cross your fingers, say a prayer, and hope that the sun stays out and everybody else gets squirrely.
Yeah, I hope so too. But you know, all these other guys are hearing from us, so they can get to adjust on their car. We went out early. You know, every time I go out early, you can look at the stats. I don't do very well. So if we had a late draw, we might have been a little bit better. But you know, hopefully the slow Chevrolet somewhere up front, we can take it to the front of the race.
And guys, you know, a lot of the teams that are going to go later in qualifying are in those rigs right now, listening to us on Speed Channel, listening to what he just had to say.
And of course, really the only thing they can adjust once their car is out on pit road, as Ron Hornaday goes right where he was in practice at the top of the charts, is pretty much adjust on air pressure on pit road. And this is the same car that he won Milwaukee with a few weeks ago.
Well, you got 3 adjustments, Larry. Air pressure, throttle foot pressure, and brake foot pressure.
Yeah, the driver adjustment's a little tougher, though, than the air pressure adjustment.
Right.
You're not going to fix that adjustment, I can tell you that.
If Hornaday is like most drivers, he'll pick it up on the 2nd lap, and he does, 1/10 of a second. 29.42. Ron Hornaday is the new time to beat. Mark Green's in his 9th race of the year, and for the 9th race, he's in the number 28, picking up Irving Oil sponsorship, an area gas station chain around New England. 29.96 for Mark Green. He is 8th fastest. No beat tuner vision. You got to tune in and see what that's all about. It's Tuesday night on Speed. It's part drag racing, part car show, a swimsuit competition, plenty of burnouts, and lots of showing off. It's not just a day at the drag races, it's a tuner lifestyle event. Tuner Vision is Tuesday night, 7:30 Eastern, and only on Speed. BG Products 07 for Carl Long out of North Carolina. This will be his 2nd Busch Series start. He tried to attempt, of the season that is, made an attempt in Chicago, but did not make the show.
And Carl was 44th quickest in practice, quite a ways down the list at a 30.81. I think Dave Burns has caught up with the man that won Chicago that didn't complete his qualifying run a while ago.
And that is Justin Labonte. And Justin, what happened?
Sway bar arm came off the right front there going into 3 and 4 on a warm-up lap. I don't know what happened, but it was kind of like driving a dirt car or something. It was all over the place, and I knew something was wrong, so I just came in.
You have obviously, though, more recently had success in this series. Talk to us about some of the things that, some of the big things that have happened since you guys won in Chicago.
You know, it was a great win for us. It's a lot more people noticed this week, and it was fun coming back to the racetrack. We're really concentrating on this race. I just hate this happen. I hope we get in. But last week's over with. Now it's time to focus on this next race.
Justin did tell me before we went on camera, guys, it's nice when people are calling you as opposed to waiting at the phone. They were really calling him and talking to him a lot about radio and things like that after he won at Chicago.
That's a great win.
And he's going to be borderline because he's 34th in owner points, so it's going to be nail-biting for that group.
Carl Long may be headed home. He does not have a provisional available, and he is 10th of 12 right now. Bobby?
Mike Ron Hornaday drives the car number 2, but number 1 is his magic number here at Loudon this weekend. Fastest in practice, fast so far in qualifying. You like this car, don't you?
Yeah, Butch and the guys gave me a great car, but I just got to thank AC Delco, ESDR. Everybody was supporting this thing. This team's really coming alive. Butch and I are really gelling, and Spinny, Danny, everybody on this motor shop, unbelievable. Lanny, it's pretty awesome. I mean, I got in the corner and we freed it up. Then thinking the sun came out and it popped out, and I got sideways getting in. I got so slow, I grabbed third gear coming down for the green. That still ran a 52, so that's compliments to the guys. Awesome race car, and I just messed up a little bit. The car's definitely faster than that. I just needed to calm down. I thought we had a shot at the pole. If I would have calmed down, I'd been a lot faster.
Will that hold up?
What's that?
Will that hold up now?
I doubt it. If the sun pops out, it might, but there's a lot of fast cars here. Anytime you're in the Busch Series, a lot of good cars, and you just hold your breath and hopefully you can have it. But other than that, we're having fun.
Hornaday says somebody's going to beat him.
We'll see. Robert Presley in the Clorox Whisk Ford, the number 47. 5 top 10 starts in 9 New Hampshire races. He's really going to need to pick it up on this lap to keep that streak going.
But I tell you, just go back to Ron Hornaday. I know all the talk this year in Busch Series has been about Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Busch and Greg Biffle, but I'm going to tell you, Ron Hornaday has quietly slipped into 4th in driver points, and that's with that penalty he received earlier in the year.
He must have caught third gear there also.
Sadler from Virginia carries that load of Friendly's ice cream to a 6th place run, 29.59. Good big pickup on his second lap.
Big pickup because he was 17th in practice, and he's the first guy so far, Larry, that's actually bettered his practice time. So good effort right there by Hermie Sadler in that 02 car.
He is absolutely the only one that has picked up some practice.
Stacy Compton in the Kingsford Ford. The first car that went out, Greg Biffle hit the wall, got loose, just said the car got really loose on him. Looked like he was ice racing, which is a popular New Hampshire sport in the off season.
And as we've been talking this entire qualifying session and also listening to some of the drivers we've interviewed, I'm sure it's a product of the racetrack being a lot less grippier than it was in practice earlier this morning. And I think the product of they have to qualify on new tires, they cannot scuff their tires.
Compton is 9th on his first lap. And let me just clarify, we were talking about Dale Earnhardt Jr. and about Martin Truex. Truex will relief drive for Junior. It's not like Dale's taking the entire weekend off. The little discussion we had was that if you needed to take a race off under the new point system, like you said, Larry, he's got a 2-race cushion on the 11th place driver. So if he needed the weekend off, he could do that and still preserve his top 10 chase for the championship position.
But he will start the race on Sunday. The car will have to go to the rear of the field regardless of where Martin Truex Jr. qualifies it. So he will get the credit of the points wherever that car ends up finishing.
There's Martin getting set to go in his Busch car. Looking more like the Colonel every day.
There's the car he'll be qualifying here in a little bit, Nextel Cup qualifying. And the irony of this whole story is he came up here a few weeks ago and did some testing for DEI in the Nextel Cup cars. So he has some seat time here in the Nextel Cup car.
And even better, he got a chance to work with Tony Eury Jr. and Senior up here. So, I mean, it's not like they haven't had an opportunity to have a little bit of a feel with each other.
Now, the teams are limited to how many times they can test as Johnny Sauter goes on track. Did DEI get charged for the test because they had a non-cup driver doing the test?
One of their teams got charged, I'm sure. But remember, they have 3 teams when you include the one team that runs part of the schedule.
And the idea of having him up here was to have him ready for maybe the second race, too. They were going to plan on running in a cup race here at Loudon, the second race this year.
Okay. Johnny Sauter on track. Scott Towles and Shaw's Supermarket, local chain, for the number 27. And this summer, You can have a lot of fun watching NASCAR Nextel Cup racing when you participate in Fantasy Cup Auto Racing. More than $350,000 in cash and prizes at stake. To enter the official fantasy games of Speed Channel, log on to speedtv.com. First lap for Sauter, 13th.
Johnny was only 31st quickest in practice at a 29.88, which is about a half a second slower than that first lap.
Picks up 2 spots to 11th with a 30.02.
Larry, whose engines is he running this weekend? I know they've been jumping back and forth, and I didn't get a chance to talk to him. So whose engines they got this week?
They have made the change permanent, at least with this car, to the Menard engines.
Okay.
Dave is with the current track record holder.
And Mike, he's going to make his 100th NASCAR Busch Series start here this weekend. Kevin, you've seen some guys get kind of squirrely out there. You want to go out and try for the pole here, or are you going to take it a little easy?
Well, I think Biffle's already got the champion's provisional occupied, so we probably ought to go out and put a good lap, decent lap down the first time, and then see what we got the second lap.
You were 5th in practice. Any chance at the quick time, you think, today?
I hope so. That's what we're here for with this Reese Chevrolet. So we'll find out. I mean, the car we made a lot of changes earlier, and then put a qualifying trim. It was pretty good. So we'll just see what happens.
And for perspective, of course, he's recently been on the track in his Nextel Cup car, guys.
As he pointed out, Greg Biffle is the most recent Busch Series champion entered, so he has the champion's provision.
And that's using your head right there.
A change for the Rusty Wallace team. Billy Parker released as the driver of the Duraflame 66, and Jamie McMurray picks up the seat.
And he was 3rd quickest in practice, and the plan right now is, and he goes to 2nd quickest on his first lap, is all of the rest of the Busch Series companion events with Nextel Cup, which is a lot of races. Jamie will race this car, with the exception of Michigan and Phoenix. In none other, at those races in the Busch Series, Rusty Wallace will drive his own race car.
It's going to be exciting to see Rusty back in the Busch Series.
Jamie won a Busch Series race earlier this year at Rockingham driving the #1 car, James Finch. If he can pick it up a little bit, and he does it, 29.29. He's on the pole, and he betters his practice time.
Josh Richardson, the new driver of the American Bojangles Chevy, trying to make his 4th race of 2004. He has 1 New Hampshire Busch Series start here, but he is 15th quickest at a 30.31. There is the Oval Office for the Busch Series. New sheriff in town. Here's Bobby Dillon.
That's right, and the new sheriff is Joe Balish. His first official day on the job at the track here, and Joe is hard at work in the Busch Series Oval Office. Joe, first of all, congratulations, and how's the first day been going?
Thanks, Bob. It's been going great. Really, all the officials have rallied together to put on a great show this weekend. I think the mood in the garage is very good, and things are going well.
Have you had to crack the whip a little bit yet?
No, I haven't yet. Some drivers have offered to come in and spend some time with me to begin the season, as my season really, here in the office, but no whips have been cracked yet.
Guys, notice he says yet, and I think he told me a little while ago he wants to see a couple of you guys down here in the Busch Series trailer after qualifying.
I'll be happy to.
Yeah. Go ahead, Larry. Just lead. Go ahead and lead.
But I tell you, I spent some time with Joe this morning, a super nice guy. He comes from the ASA series, and he has a tough job, especially coming in the middle of the season, because he has bosses that he has to answer to. He's trying to make 40-something competitors happy. He's trying to make manufacturers happy. It's quite a juggling act, but I'm going to tell you, talking to Joe, he has the right approach and the right attitude about it.
He replaces Brian Dehart, who we're going to miss. Brian was always very cooperative and helpful to those of us on the TV side, and
very much
want to wish him well.
Absolutely.
Jimmy Kitchen, 17th. That is the last spot among drivers who did finish their lap, a 30.53 for that BG Products Ford. Dave?
Alan, with a driver who is going to keep the sponsors at yellow very happy now, Casey Mears, in your 2nd ride with these guys. You know, this is only your 2nd race here at New Hampshire. Qualifying seems to be a little tricky out there today.
Yeah, it's you know, this place always gets real slick, you know, and every time we come here, I always end up getting real loose and end up not qualifying as good as we want. But you know, today the yellow car is working really well. A little bit problem with it getting loose, getting in. Hopefully we cured that. And but in race trim, it was awesome. We did a bunch of race laps this morning and really felt good about it. So I'm looking forward to the race.
All right, Casey's next race after this, guys, will be the companion event at Michigan.
Thanks, Dave. Jason Keller in the Miller High Life number 22 Ford. Second at Chicago. Best finish of the season. Keller. Then moved to third place. Finished second, moved to third. 6 top 5 finishes in the last 10 Busch Series races.
He was 11th quickest in practice. His first lap is good for 10th quickest at a 29.79. Winner here in 2001. In fact, the last 3 races here, he has qualified in the top 7. The cars, everyone's race car just looks like it's on ice. It's not. They're not down in the racetrack. They're just not gripping the racetrack. And this is with that softer tire, softer construction than what we've ever raced here before.
Yeah, you would have thought that this would have really been one of those times that this tire, particular type of setup, would have really shined. But they really look. The cars look like almost like they're stopped in the middle of the corner compared to the past.
Second lap for Keller falls off a 10th of a second. Bob Dillner is with the man who hopes to hold on to his first career Busch Series pole today.
That's right, Mike. Jamie McMurray, and he just told me, listen, don't interview me before Martin Truex Jr. goes because you're worried about him, aren't you?
Yeah, and you just did. And he's on the racetrack right now, but really good lap. We knew we were pretty good in practice. It's good equipment. Rusty has done just an incredible job of assembling a Busch team, and all these guys. It's fun to drive it. You know, the car was good from the time we unloaded, and just excited for Duraflame and excited for me.
We'll see what happens in a second.
Yeah.
And guys, Jamie says, you know, it's awfully slippery out there. I don't know if Martin knows that.
Well, here comes the Colonel.
And Mike, you talked about it earlier, and Jeff was talking about it. He has so much time here in Loudon, New Hampshire in a race car. This is a brand new race car that they tested at Pikes Peak last week. I talked to his crew chief this morning, Kevin Mannion, after practice, and he said all Martin said about the car, it has that New Hampshire feel to it.
It looked good on his first lap. I know that, guys.
Not on the watch, though. 12th, 29.84. That could have been an exploration lap. Let's see here.
Yeah, because he ran a 29.26 in practice, which is second quickest, which would better Jamie McMurray's time. But he's going to have to pick up about almost 6/10 to do that.
The throttle right between 3 and 4, so he's getting a good run up off the corner. Picks it up to 8th, 29.60.
And he just had to do something that he's never had to do before. Remember, he practiced the Busch car for 2 hours. Then he went and practiced the Cup car for 2 hours. Then he had to crawl back in that Busch car and qualified after running the Cup car for 2 hours. And Jamie McMurray goes, whew, dodge that bullet.
A big one, too.
Stan Boyd trying to make his 7th start of the year. The Dynaha Quality Metric Chevrolet well off the pace at 30.63. That's the slowest of the 20 drivers who have completed their laps.
Yeah, he actually slowed down almost 6/10 of a second over when he had practiced it. So I'm sure he's going to be quite disappointed with that effort. But guys, here's another one of those bullets that Jamie McMurray might take a look at. Kevin Harvick.
He was 5th quickest in practice. He is the track record holder here at a 29.13 set back in 2001.
McMurray's time 16/100ths off of that. Well, Harvick slides up the hill, but not too badly.
Now, like you said, he's going to try to use his head here a little bit, field his first lap out, and then maybe go after it on the second one.
I say slides up the hill. This track is so flat, this would only count as a hill in Florida.
Yeah. 29.56 on that first lap, 6th quickest. You heard Bob Dillner talk about this will be Kevin Harvick's 100th start. When you think about the thing he's accomplished in those 100 starts, 12 wins, 68 top 10s, Rookie of the Year in 2000, the Busch Championship in 2001, and he helped this 21 team, Richard Childress Racing, win the Owners Championship last year in 2003. A lot of accomplishments in 100 races.
Second lap is slower by 8/1000ths.
Yeah, he dove it in the corner pretty hard down there in 3 and 4, trying to make that lap up just a little bit, and she got away from him just a little bit.
But you heard him say he had to be conservative. He knew Greg Biffle has that championship provisional. He just needed a solid lap in.
And he got it. Here's Dave.
Mike, in last year's race, Matt Kenseth improved the most positions, finishing 3rd. You want to start a little better than 25th today, Matt?
I'd like to. Last year rained out, though, so I got an excuse qualifying. But Our Bayer car hasn't been real great today, kind of a little bit better than middle of the pack, but not much. So just worked on race trim a lot today. This is, not one of my best tracks, so we really tried to work on our race setup a lot. So hopefully, if we qualified 15th or better, that'd be pretty good and give us a decent spot to start.
All right, again, a top 3 last year, guys. Going for a good qualifying run today.
Brad Teague from Johnson City, Tennessee, trying to make his 3rd Loudon start. Started 35th and 31st the last 2 years.
Brad was 39th quickest in practice. Remember, with 48 cars here, you have to beat 10 cars to be in that top 38 on qualifying time.
Outside turn 1 and 2, down in the fan zone here at Loudon, the south end of the speedway. Tonight, live at 7 p.m. Trackside, presented by Gladiator Garage.
And we'll have the 2 previous winners from the Busch Series. We'll have Mike Wallace, Justin Labonte, Martin Truex will join us, and a man we always have fun with, Jimmy Spencer, and the winner of the race this afternoon in your favorite series, Mike, the Modified Series.
That race scheduled for 5 p.m. today. You'll see those cars, glimpses of them as they're lined up on pit road, and you'll see it tomorrow night on speed at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Brad Teague, first lap 30.14. And that is 18th fastest out of 22 right now. 30.05 picks it up to 16th on the board.
But that will lock Mark Green into the top 38 because he's now beat 10 cars.
Here's Dave.
With Matt Kobaluk now, who's going to attempt to make both the Busch North race and the Busch South race, if we can call it that, this weekend. Matt, given your experience here at New Hampshire, you got a pretty good shot, huh?
Yeah, we got a pretty good shot. I mean, we were okay during practice. We were 28th on the sheet, and we weren't really up to speed with what everybody else was doing their mock runs and everything. So hopefully we'll pick up a little bit during qualifying here, and make it a solid effort for both races tomorrow.
All right, Matt Kobaluk trying to make the show, Mike.
He can get it done. He's a past runner-up in the Busch North Series Championship. Casey Mears started 21st, finished 17th in his only New Hampshire Busch Series race, and this is only his 2nd Busch Series start of the year. He finished 7th in Daytona.
But he plans, I think, on running most of the rest of the companion events with Nextel Cup in this car the rest of this year. He was 13th quickest in practice.
And guys, every time I watch Casey Mears get an opportunity to get seat time like the Saturday race, whether it's in Busch or ARCA, it usually kind of like spills over into his Cup effort. So far this year, he's been pretty darn good in that 41 car.
Boy, I don't think this lap's going to be very good there. He got awfully loose off turn 2, and he's 10th quickest on his first lap at a 29.73.
But Larry, I've watched a lot of guys, and I think in their mind, get the first one in, and then we'll hustle it. And if something goes wrong, then it's not quite as bad. And I think whatever we've seen the last 2 runs by Kevin Harvick as well as Casey, they both got after it a little bit and got away from it.
Second lap falls off about 2/10, so Casey Mears locks it in on lap 1. He is 10th fastest. Tim Fedewa in the Supercut Chevy, 29.73. 8 races here, 1 victory, won it from the pole. Here's Dave.
And standing by with Paul Menard now. The throng of photographers around here, Paul, I know it's because they don't have enough stock photos of you in this 11 car yet, but how pumped up are you to qualify for the first time in this ride?
Man, I can't say enough about the team that Tony Gibson's put together. A bunch of people from different teams all working together as one this weekend, and it's definitely shown. I mean, we're 10th quick in practice, which I'm pretty happy with, but I think if I don't overdrive it and just kind of hit my marks, we should be a solid top 10 in the race for qualifying.
Well, and what you've seen guys do so far, you got to be pretty aware of that, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I was in the hauler watching on TV, and it's slippery. Somebody up in the booth compared it to ice racing, which I kind of grew up doing. So not with a rear engine car or rear tired car like this, but we'll just go out there and be smooth and see what we got.
Experience always counts, Mike.
And he has to be. He has to be conservative because he does not have a provisional. He has to get in the fastest 38, and that is a Dale Earnhardt Incorporated Chance 2 entry right there. They'll be running the rest of the full-time circuit.
Jeff Fuller from Auburn, Mass, right off the Mass Turnpike, exit 10, and this is his home stomping ground. He's a former champion of the modified division, and he is is 21st on the board. This number 88 Chevy, 30.22. He has 3 modified victories here. His younger brother Rick will be in that modified race later today. Fuller's he's been kind of running a start and park program for Joe Nemechek. He's a good qualifier, and they have come to a number of races just trying to build up the bank account so that they can come to here and to Bristol and a couple other places where Jeff's really competitive and race hard.
He'll be racing tomorrow, Mike, because he's 16th now after 27 guys trying to qualify, so he's solidly in the field for tomorrow.
Yeah, he bettered his practice lap at that second lap.
Bob?
Standing here with Mike Bliss, and we're looking at the scoreboard and all the speeds that have been put up. 6 quick this morning. What do you think?
Well, I'm trying not to. You know, it's kind of scary seeing the first car go out there and wreck. But the Rockwell Automation Chevrolet was real good off the trailer. We made 1 attempt on qualifying. It was pretty good. So it was tight during qualifying attempt, so we left it that way. Hopefully it was the right decision.
Because the track has changed, hasn't it?
I've always been loose here qualifying, and I said, first I said free it up, and I said forget it, leave it alone. Let's try a different approach to this qualifying here.
If the sun comes out again, well, Mike Bliss may be in good shape.
Matt Kenseth in the Bayer Aspirin CVS Pharmacy Ford.
He was 16th quickest in practice at a 29.56. Matt, of course, running the limited schedule, winner from Fort Worth, Texas, back in the spring. It's one of the races he normally competes in on the Busch Series here at Loudon.
He finished 3rd here last year.
Pretty good looking first lap, at least visually, around the track. Got back in the throttle pretty good up off of turn 3.
30-31, 20 seconds, so not fast, but smooth.
That's the thing is right now, so deceiving. The cars look so good, but that's the reason why they're slow.
And of course, he would be one of those drivers because of his Nextel Cup status that would have to qualify in the top 38. If he can pick it up 2 or 3 tenths on this second lap, he should be okay.
That should do it. 29.84, 16th fastest.
Yeah, he's in. He's definitely in because he's beat 12 cars.
Jamie McMurray is fastest so far in his first drive for Rusty Wallace. Can he hang on to his first Busch Series pole? Canadian driver Randy McDonald carrying Speedway Children's Charities on the side of his unsponsored number 71. He's run 2 Cup and 5 truck races here, but probably will not make this show with a lap of 30.62 and no provisionals available.
No, I don't think that's going to make the fastest 38.
Gus Wasson on the number 10. Going for his 19th start of the season.
Yeah, he was not that quick in practice. Out of the 48 cars, he was only 46th quickest. Just here, he's just out of the throttle a long time. You certainly don't want the car to wash up with you, but you still got to carry some speed in there. Try to pick that throttle up just as soon as you possibly can. Look around the outside of the Loudon, New Hampshire International Speedway. You can see now the safer barriers are in place here at both ends of the racetrack.
30.64 is going to be the slowest time posted thus far. 28. 30 drivers have made attempts. Greg Biffle ended up in the fence, and Justin Labonte had mechanical problems under the hood.
Unless Gus really picks it up on this second lap, that should lock Brad Teague into the top 38, fastest 38 cars. Right now, that time is a 30.05. Let's see what Gus does on his second lap. He actually slows down.
Only a couple of hundredths, but he'll be looking for a provisional. So now 30 drivers have taken a shot at the clock. David Green, past series champion, had to use a little bit of bumper there to get the win at New Hampshire International Speedway. And he's with Dave Burns.
A
attempting to make his 11th start here at New Hampshire. David, you were 19th quick in practice today. What kind of qualifying lap do you expect?
We made the right adjustments here on our Timberwolf Pontiac, and I like our chances here today. It's got a little bit cooler, so we got to say thanks to a couple of people. Big Apple Food Stores for being on part of our Timberwolf program. And how about Lance Armstrong on his quest? What a team. Those guys are working just like my Timberwolf guys.
Wearing the yellow hat.
Trying to support them. And last but not least, Sergeant David Cooper, Stuart Cooper, my crew chief, our car chief's dad, just arrived, put his feet on U.S. soil from Baghdad. We're so happy. Stuart's pumped up, and we're glad to have him back in the States, and thanks for all the support those troops give us. So we're going to go out and cut a lap right now.
There was a little buzz around their pit just a little while ago when they heard that news, guys.
Thanks, Dave. Good news to be sure.
Yep, welcome home.
The U.S. Navy Gould's Pumps, number 14, Casey Atwood, 29.66. That's a good lap. That's top 10 material.
Car looked good on his first lap. Got back in the throttle, real aggressive up off the corner, Larry.
And this is the type of racetrack it seems like Casey has always ran very, very well at. He was pretty quick in practice earlier. He's qualified second here before, back in 98, finished fifth here in 99. So he's had some pretty good results here at this track. If he can pick it up though on his second lap a little bit, this is going to be really push him up there. Picks it up to 7th quickest, 29.56. Good lap.
Here's Bob.
Kevin Harvick, 6th quick so far. You said you were going to be cautious. Were you really cautious?
Well, it was the first lap, and I probably should have been cautious the second lap. I overdrove it and you know, slid way up down here in 3 and 4, but still a decent lap for the Reese's Chevrolet. It kind of sucks having to go out there and have your guard up right off the bat, but you know, it's just part of what we do here in the Busch Series. So just excited to be in lap. I love coming up here, and you know, it's a home racetrack for Sylvania and everybody in that area, so it's a lot of fun, and hopefully we can get the Reese's Chevrolet to stay up there all weekend.
Hey, you got a pair of second place finishes here. How about doing one better tomorrow?
That's the plan. We've always run really good here in the Busch car and the Cup car, so we always look forward to coming.
Kevin Harvick does have 2 poles in Busch Series competition, but not today.
This is Paul Wolf from Milford, New York. The Hellman's number 6. This is the Hungry Drivers program for Tommy Baldwin Racing. Wolf was in this car at the start of the season and wrecked it pretty regularly, but he is getting a reprieve and another opportunity here.
Yeah, I mean, the drivers that have driven this car is Tracy Hines, Mark McFarland, Scott Lynch, and Paul Wolf. Each of them were getting 3 races. Since his car did not qualify, he actually crashed at Rockingham. This is kind of a makeup race to give him his 3rd race. And what they're going to do out of these 4 drivers' performances, they supposedly are going to take one of those guys and run the full schedule in 2005.
Well, right now, Larry, he needs to pick up maybe one more position, just a little bit more, and he'll be solidly in the field right now. He's 1 out of being locked in.
Now, you know, we've talked about people like Martin Truex. Paul Wolf has 8 Busch North starts here with 3 top 5s and 5 top 10 finishes.
He's in. He's 19th with a 29.94.
I know this was definitely, of the racetracks they raced him at, this was one he was actually looking very forward to.
His owner, Tommy Baldwin, was at one of his home tracks, Thompson, Connecticut, Wednesday night, signing autographs, and he said he got introduced as NASCAR's number 2 bad boy. There's no way he's only number 2. Anyway, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series lives on speed. The Michigan Line-X Spray-On Truck Bedliners 200. That's a mouthful. It's next Saturday, 1 p.m. live. And only on speed. Here is Paul Menard, who has switched rides mid-season, taking the funding they brought to Indy Feature Racing and moving it on over to this number 11 team.
And these are a lot of the guys you heard Paul a while ago in his interview talk about Tony Gibson. It was actually the number 1 Nextel Cup team. They've rented Brett Bodine's shop over in Mooresville, North Carolina, and they will run the rest of the schedule with this car. But as we mentioned earlier, he has to qualify in the top 38. They came up here and tested. Car looks pretty solid. This should get him in.
Thing is, I couldn't find that car on the racetrack. I kept looking for it, Pretty brightly colored car, guys. Wouldn't you say?
He's definitely in. 14th quickest on his first lap, 29.74. And it'll be nail biting for these guys for the first 4 races they try to qualify until they have one of those provisionals, just like it was the beginning of the season for them now.
Well, if he continues to run qualifying laps like this, it won't be a problem, will it? 29.74 29.58, ninth fastest.
Well, he said he thought he could get in the top 10, and that's a little off what he ran in practice, but right now he's in the top 10.
Only 23 years old, but he's been behind the wheel of a race car since age 8. Makes his Loudon debut. Right now he's qualified 9th. Dave?
And with a guy who's made a few NASCAR Busch Series starts, you're going for 3:06 this weekend in Ted Marsh's 31. How good's your car?
I didn't hear what you said.
How was your qualifying lap going to be, Todd?
I don't know. We've been struggling all day. The wheeling forward's just not been right. The guys have worked their tails off. We've changed a lot of things. We can't get that right combination to get it around the corner, and we've changed some more for qualifying. Ralph and Teddy and myself talked about it, and we didn't have a lot to lose. We got to get in the race, and hopefully what we did will make it better.
You saw what happened to guys earlier who were pushing hard, right?
Yeah, that's typical Loudon. It's so easy to overdrive this track that you got to be careful. You go out and practice and you get your braking point, your let-off point, and say, well, I'm going to qualify. I'm going to go another 10 feet further, and it's 10 feet too far, and you end up pushing up or spinning out. So you got to be careful here.
Mike?
Thanks, Dave. David Green, former series champ at the Timberwolf Pontiac, the only team that still runs a Pontiac in selected events, Chevys and others. And he is 8th fastest. Killer lap, 29.57.
Real good first lap. But that's actually faster than he ran in practice, and he still has a lap to go.
Still got a lap to go. But you mentioned the fact of the Pontiac. You need to understand, I think a lot of people do, that they got so much confidence in the cars they had built, and they understand them, that they don't have a problem racing them. Even though the Chevrolet is preferred choice, they're very confident as long as these cars are running like they are to bring them to the racetrack, and he's very competitive in them week in and week out.
Second lap quicker.
Almost identical, 1/1000. Yeah, this car here, 7 races this year, 4 top 5s, 6 top 10s, Pontiac or Chevrolet. He has a lot of confidence in that car.
Dion Ciccarelli in the Culligan water treatment star sales number 84 is going to be headed for the house. 30.91 is not going to be fast enough to make the field, and he does not have any provisionals available.
This will be another car that has no provisionals available. We interviewed him a while ago. Matt Kobaluk in the 40 car. He was 28th quickest in practice. They tested here. He runs the Busch North Series, but when he tested here, that's the first time he has ever driven a radial tire. The Busch North Series run bi-supply tires. He said it was definitely a different feel.
Mohegan Sun is one of the 2 big casinos in Connecticut, both owned by Indian tribes, the other being Foxwoods. And Matt is actually a member of the tribe. He and his family are tribal members, and the casino sponsors the racing efforts.
Didn't look too bad, guys.
And yeah, he runs well here in the Busch North car. So 30.23. That's going to be on the edge, isn't it?
Yeah, he needs to pick it up just a little bit. He needs to beat one more car.
He needs to pick up 1/10 right now to put himself 26, and he'd be in good shape.
Now this car they bought from Martin Truex when Martin was up here running in the north, and then when they moved south, Martin and his dad sold a lot of the equipment, and this is one of the cars that they sold that they bought.
They won some races up here, so they know the score. Let's see if Kobaluk can put it in the show. He did it.
Yeah, he'll race the car.
30.02.
Good job, Matt.
Always nice to see the local fellas do well. Give the New England fans somebody to cheer for. So Matt Kobaluk is in the field.
And could you imagine going to your very first Busch Series race and attempting to qualify and missing the show? That would be with you forever.
But he's in.
He's in.
And here's Dave.
And I'm with David Stremme, who did something in his off time, took his first real vacation ever to Belize. You wish you'd stayed there? I mean, you only ran 25th this morning.
Yeah, some people still think I'm on vacation, but no, really, we haven't. I've never been here to Loudon, and the car, I don't know. I mean, we got the same car we run at Milwaukee, same setup. We're just working around it. I feel real confident in the car, but I've been changing lanes, and I went and watched the Nextel Cup practice and found out I'm not running where I should be. So we're going to change how I drive and see if it picks us up. But I feel real confident in the whole Trim Spot team, and I think we'll be up there. We just got to qualify decent, and we'll race really good.
Processing a lot of information for his first time here, guys.
You bet. Stanton Barrett, the American Bojangles Pontiac. Number 91. Now, remember, there's only 4 provisionals available because Greg Biffle, as the series' most recent champion, was the first car on the clock, crashed, So he takes the last provisional spot, the champions provisional. So for everyone else, there are only 4 of those spots left. Stanton Barrett, 30-16, 28th fastest. He's going to have to pick up a 10th or so to make it on time.
And Jeff, you're good friends with Stanton. Nobody knows what this kid goes through to try to race. I mean, he's basically the team owner, the driver, the general manager, the key marketing guy, and even works on the race car too.
He does it all because he loves the sport, Larry. He'll run back to California. He's 27th now, and guys, I think that's going to put him in right there because it's just barely in. But that's all you got to be, is just in. But the deal is right now, he'll go back, do stunts, make a little bit of money, keep the team going. He's constantly doing marketing, trying to get this team up and going. He could go be a very successful guy in Hollywood, but he loves to race.
Well, attaboy, he's in the show.
He's even starting to do some movie producing.
Great. Bob Dillner.
Kenny Wallace, one of the last cars to go out. You got your chest puffed up, ready to go?
No, I think what it is, you know, I went and talked to Dale Jr. about his fiery accident, and he just told me that I needed to make sure I wear all the fire safety undergarments. So I look a little bigger now because, you know, his daddy got hurt, and we learned a lot from that. Junior got hurt, and we've learned a lot from that. So everybody's got, you know, fire safety undergarments now, so look a little bit bigger. But now, you know, the track was temperamental early. It's always like that here at Loudon, but the Stacker 2 Chevy was like 21st quickest in practice, and we made some adjustments. I'm still not real happy with it. We're having some brake problems, and we've done some more, so hopefully I'll nail it and be a little bit better than that.
Now, you really should get one of these Stacker 2 modifieds.
The modifieds are definitely neat. They are high-tech, and I just didn't grow up around them. You know, I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm running the Stacker 2 UMP modified, running dirt Tuesdays and Wednesdays in the Midwest, having a real good time doing that. But I seen Ray Evernham. He ran at Wash Stadium and finished 15th, so good for him.
Modifieds to come later on this afternoon at New Hampshire.
Well, interesting, Todd Bodine, a graduate of the Mod Squad, and his car owner, Ted Marsh, was once one of the top owners in this division. They moved over to the Busch Series. And the Whelen Enterprises number 31 Chevy is going to pop in there 21st with a 29.92. These are the greatest race cars in America right here. Take a stock car, marry it to an Indy car with open wheels, and what do you get? You get this illegitimate child of racing called a NASCAR modified. They're going to race here today, and you're going to see that race on Speed Channel Saturday night at 10 p.m. They bump draft and they fly. They run restrictor plates here. They're so fast.
But the bump drafting is the thing I love.
The thing is right now, do you think he loves modifieds? Can you tell that Mike loves modifieds?
But you know, after watching him up here, I'm starting to love him.
Whoa, Mike. Whoa, Michael Wallace. Whoa, baby.
Gecko's got its eyes closed.
I'm telling you right now, he went down in that corner and he did not want to hook up to the racetrack. He had his hands full.
Mike was 21st quick in practice. Of course, the winner from Daytona. You can see right there the car just is not down in the racetrack whatsoever.
Very nervous, isn't it, Mike?
The Geico Ford, you know, Les Care Kitchens on the side. New England fans know that name from longtime modified sponsorship, and they're going to be on Mike's Cup car this weekend as well. Jay Listorti's company. Let's see how Mike fares. 30.05. That's going to make the show, but not by much.
No. And Mike is an official spokesperson for Les Care now. Read that the other day, which is good.
Yeah. Now that time did bump Justin Labonte out of the top 38, and as we said, not too high in owner points. He's going to be very borderline with that. Let's see if Mike can pick it up on his second lap. Yeah, Geico was not even going to be on the car here, but after these guys have performed the last 2 or 3 weeks, they said, you know what? I think we'll come on board, and he's 20th quickest on his second lap.
Boy, big pickup for Mike Wallace. Picked up 2/10, lap 2. Jamie McMurray, can it hang on? 29.29 right now. He is the fastest gun. There are 9 drivers left to attempt qualifying. Steve Grissom has made his run 30.20 for the former champ, 31st fastest. This is 23-year-old Stuart Kirby from Bowling Green, Kentucky, carrying that's Churchill Downs, home of the Kentucky Derby, on his is number 65.
Yeah, this team is actually out of Kentucky, and what they're trying to do is keep a Kentucky-themed car. They were at the Kentucky race a few weeks ago and never made it through inspection. Stuart Kirby got his ARCA crew chief, Bob Shack, to come over and help him, and he's one of those cars that will have to qualify on time, and I don't think that's going to do it the first lap. He's not even in the fastest 38, but he has no provisionals.
Now, Larry, you a lot of times check on things, what kind of engine they're running. Does he have Smarty Jones underneath the hood?
No. So
he looked like he had a little trouble getting up to speed, guys. Watching him coming to the green, he really came off the corner high and very, very slow as far as it get up to lap speed.
And they never did really get up to speed in practice. He almost ran out of racetrack coming off turn 4 to complete his second lap. And that's going to put him 38th quickest, so that's probably not going to make this show. And it looks like Dion Ciccarelli has been bumped out of the top 38, another car that had no provisionals.
I guess Kirby can't climb out of there and complain about a lack of horsepower.
Ooh.
He's going to complain about something.
Yeah, I'm his crew chief. I'm going to tell him next time, go to the whip.
Kevin LePage from Shelburne, Vermont, has the other big Connecticut casino on the side of his car, Foxwoods.
And I've stayed there, and it is a class place.
Larry, I didn't realize you gambled.
I just stayed there. I didn't say about gambling. Just passing through.
Passing through.
Kevin doing double duty this weekend, trying to qualify for the Nextel Cup race as well as the Busch Series race. He was 38th quickest in practice.
Foxwoods actually builds itself as the largest casino in the world.
And it is a beautiful
building
facility.
And building there. A lot of the drivers visit. I think next week there'll be a raft of show car rigs and motor coaches there.
Oh, I'm sure
between
there will
here
be.
and Pocono.
Is Fat Boy going over?
I'm sure he'll be the first one there.
Kevin's in 32nd fastest at a 30.31.
This car is actually owned by Randy and Pat McDonald. Randy McDonald, of course, right now in the 71 car, qualified 36. That puts definitely Kevin in the field, but it bumps Randy back a spot, and he's going to be very borderline from qualifying for this race.
And it sends Stuart Kirby home officially, knocks him out of the top 38. Puts Gus Wasson on the hot seat. So LePage for Dumpster Depot and Foxwoods in the show now, 27th fastest with a 30.02. Just blistered the track in the Rockwell Automation Chevy. 4th fastest, 29.54. That knocks Gus Wasson out of the top 38 and into provisional land, and makes 3 Chevys in the top 4.
Evidently, things worked out for Mike. You heard in his interview a while ago that he'd always got loose qualifying here. He was a little tight in practice. They left the car alone, and it obviously paid off.
I guarantee you one thing, guys. Old Jamie McMurray sat up on the edge of his chair and said, where'd that come from?
David Stremme said he'd try a different line in qualifying than what he ran in practice. Let's see how it pays off for the Trim Spa Dodge.
And just remember, even though David was the 2003 Busch Series Rookie of the Year, he only ran 18 races, and this was not one of the races that he ran in last year, so he's competing here for the first time. Mike, we had David on our little show last night over in Concord, the race fest over there, and he was telling us about the first hot laps he ever made in a race car. It was in his mom's, a car that his mom drove, a pink dirt car. He was out there making hot laps quicker than anybody till the racetrack finally realized he was not of age. He was only 15 years old, and he had to be 16, so they made him stop.
15th fastest, 29.73. 3rd fastest Dodge. McMurray, of course, quickest. That will bump Stan Boyd out of the top 38. Second lap is right on top of the first one for Stremme. Let's see how the provisionals stack up right now. The champions provisional goes to Biffle. So right now the 4 provisionals would be Gus Wasson, Stan Boyd, Justin Labonte, and Dion Ciccarelli. Stuart Kirby, Carl Long, Randy McDonald would go home. But we're not done.
And Mike, I think we need to explain how this provisional works. We had a lot of teams that did not have provisionals here. If we get into a large clump of those guys, then I think it goes to attempts. And then if the attempt is tied, I think it actually reverts to what the fastest time that they actually ran in qualifying. So there's a couple of different formulas to get 43 cars into the field.
David Keith, also a rookie at New Hampshire, trying to make his 4th Busch Series start of the year. It's number 0.
He was not very quick in practice, only 47th quickest.
The car is entered as a teammate to Gus Wasson, the Race Girl Chevrolet, not yet carrying the sponsor decals.
He's out of the throttle a long time, guys.
And when he picks the throttle up, you can see the car just really wiggles around on him. So he's having to drive the car as much with the throttle pedal as he is the steering wheel.
That's reflected on the watch. 3090 is not going to get him in on time.
He would have to pick up a good, right at probably almost 4/10 to get in the top 38.
Well, he will probably, though, take the last provisional from Ciccarelli.
He decided he'd had enough of that qualifying.
He said, that's all I can stand, guys.
One and done, so that's provisional land for David Keith, where right now he has the 4th and last provisional. So Kirby is gone, Ciccarelli is gone. And the provisionals right now are Wasson, Boyd, Labonte, and Keith, according to our unofficial look at things.
Here comes Kenny Wallace on the racetrack.
Yeah, explain to me. He spent that whole interview talking about improved driver fire protection garments. And what's he wearing on his head? A cap with flames on it.
Came with flaps. His flames on. Exactly right.
But, Mike, the first time that I saw that video on Speed News last Sunday night, the very thing I said, that right there is a message to every racer in America that no matter if you're practicing, no matter if you're warming your car up, no matter what, if you're in that race car on the racetrack, wear all of your safety equipment, gloves, the Nomex underwear, the full face helmet, everything.
Head and neck restraint?
Absolutely.
You don't let your son race with that one, do you?
And he has asked me, he said, Dad, I'm just going to practice. Do I have to wear my Nomex underwear? Absolutely.
Yeah. Are you going to put your foot on the throttle? Then yes.
If you're going to buckle in that car, yes, you are.
Oh, by the way.
Kenny.
Yep.
Not
hang
good.
on there, Kenny.
Not good.
I was going to say, oh, by the way, congratulations to your son one more time. Brandon McReynolds won another race there at Lowe's Motor Speedway the other night in the Bandolero division.
Thank you very much. Actually held off Mark Green's son, Tyler. Close second. Too close almost.
I kind of had a feeling that once he started winning, it'd be hard to stop him.
But he's the typical race car driver, because after he won the race, we got to inspection, he looked at me, said, thing pushed like a dump truck the whole race.
Oh, nothing like thanks, Dad, for setting up a winning race car?
By the way, congratulations.
Yeah, right. Kenny Wallace, 30-48. That will bump Randy McDonald from the top 38, so McDonald will go home.
I don't think he'll be very happy with that run right there. He picks it up a little bit on his second lap, but only 35th quickest.
So Kenny Wallace is 35th. Bob Dillner.
Jamie McMurray is kind of like Superman. He's gone into the phone booth and changed uniforms, and you are the man today in the Busch Series at New Hampshire.
Yeah, I'm really excited. That's I finally have a truck pull, a Busch pull, and a cup pull, so that's something kind of fun. And I've qualified second, I don't know, 3 or 4 times and been really close. So I'm excited for Duraflame and for Rusty. He, I said earlier, but just has put together an incredible team here, so glad to be driving for him.
Congratulations to Jamie McMurray.
He qualified in his Texaco uniform, puts this one on for photos, and then he'll change back for Cup qualifying, which you will see next, 3 o'clock on TNT. Jamie McMurray will be our pole winner at New Hampshire for the Siemens 200. Thanks for joining us.